So my name is Vajrashura and this is my thought for today. So like many of you, I have been finding the COVID-19 lockdown intense at times actually. And it particularly got intense, I found, maybe you found this too, a couple of weekends ago where we started getting word that the lockdown restrictions would start to be removed or gradually eased. And all of a sudden I had the sense of, oh wow, life might get back to normal. And then looking at the timetable, it was like, oh, I'm frustrated that it's not happening quicker than I'd like it to be. And so it was quite intense actually, that weekend for me, wanting to go and see my family, my friends again and so on. And it led me to reflect a bit about intensity and the nature of intensity. So what I want to talk about now is embracing intensity as a spiritual practice. So it feels to me that intensity comes about mainly through two ways, or at least for me at least, it comes about in two different ways. Firstly, there's the intensity of resisting reality. Reality is a bit more clear to us right now. I've talked about this in some of my other videos where, we're in a bit of a bardo, we're in a space now where reality is a bit more undeniable. And I think part of me, when I was thinking about the lockdown restrictions being eased, I was resisting the reality of the timescale of that and wanting it to happen much more quickly. And that caused intensity. And more generally, I think as well, we resist reality all the time. In a way, that's what it means to be unenlightened. To be unenlightened, by definition, means that we resist reality. And that causes an intensity. That causes a kind of a friction with life that is intense. And in a way, that is a sign that we're not embracing reality enough. So when there is intensity, often it is a sign that we're just not embracing reality enough, the reality of the situation we're in. But the other way I think that intensity comes about is that intensity also comes about through embracing reality. So I've said intensity comes about through resisting reality, but intensity also comes about from embracing reality. So we resist it, it's intense. We embrace it, it's intense. In a way, it's going to be intense either way in situations like this. And what I mean by that is that, we fundamentally don't really want to take in reality. It is intense taking on the fact that our lives are precarious. We're subject to old age, sickness, and death, and so on. That our freedoms can be so easily taken away from us, our everyday freedoms of travel, of shopping, of doing whatever we want. That kind of reality is intense to take in, to embrace as well. So reality, whether resisted or embraced, is intense. Yeah. And I think the practice for much of these times, as in any bardo, is just simply to try and accept reality, to try and embrace reality. In a way, that's all you need to do. But as a side note to that, or as a footnote to that, we need to be able to embrace reality. So I think the practice within these bardos is to accept reality and to do what you can in order to be able to accept reality. Remain positive, keep your friendships going, meditate, remain positive, and so on. So there's intensity, yeah. But the last thing I wanted to talk about is the reflections that it sparked off in me while sitting with this intensity. And a bit of an insight I had was I realized that so much of my life, so much of my efforts in life are orientated around being comfortable rather than seeing the true nature of things. And while I was in this period of intensity, I was asking myself, why are things so intense? Why am I having such an emotional intensity right now? And the insight I had, and I don't mean insight capital I or anything, but it did help me see things more clearly, was that I was relating to intensity as if I was doing something wrong. Yeah, that the fact that things were intense, I was relating to it as a sign that I was doing something incorrectly, and that actually if things got more and more comfortable, that would be a sign that I was doing things right. Yeah. So it raised questions for me about, well, is my life fundamentally about being more comfortable, or is it about transformation? Yeah, because the thing about intensity is that it's very helpful, even indeed necessary, for transformation to happen. If there isn't intensity, we're not going to kind of soften we're not going to melt a bit. We're not going to be able to move around the different parts of ourselves that we need to move around. There won't be the same onus on us to let go of the parts that are unhelpful. So it really threw me back at myself. What am I about as a Buddhist? What am I about as an order member? Am I about making myself more comfortable and having an easy life? Or am I about transformation? And the answer to that wasn't immediately straightforward, because a large part of me does just want to be comfortable and get on with having an easy life. But if I hadn't had that intensity, I probably would have never realized the depths of that tendency within myself. And obviously it's not sorted yet. I still have an incredible desire for its comfort, but I do feel a bit more aware of that tendency in myself. And I feel like my Dharma practice came into a bit more of a focus last week with that intensity. And actually, after having to sit with that question of what is my Dharma life about, I realise I am about transformation. I am about enlightenment, actually, more so than just being comfortable. Because comfort can be taken away at any time, but insight or seeing things more clearly is something that's very cumulative, and I think it won't ever be fully lost in this life if we just keep going with it, if we keep practicing. So what is our practice about? What is our life about? And if we are engaging with our practice, it will be intense, and it will throw up questions like this, and these questions are a good sign. They're a really good sign, and they're to be embraced. In a way, the good thing about the COVID-19 lockdown and bardas in general is that we can't ignore this intensity, so we have to sit with this intensity. So really my thought for today is just to embrace intensity. Don't see it as a problem. See it as something to be embraced, and something that can really help you see more deeply into the true nature of things, into your own relationships with reality, and into how best to live your life. So embrace intensity, and best of luck with that.